Friends, I have a very, very interesting task of introducing the advertising icon of not only India, but probably of the world. Piyush Bhai is the creative head of Ogilvy worldwide. In fact, हम लोगों का वक्त गुजरा इनके एड्स देख देख के, and I can tell you, when I started my first job in the edible oil industry way back, तो इनका जो दिल की बात वाला ad था, which we have accessed, was actually moving and shaking the edible oil industry in the country. Piyush Bhai has been recognized by Government of India. It is not only the trade and industry which recognizes his talent, but Government of India honored him with a Padma Bhushan. So, who is that? Padma Bhushan.
See, I'll stay with the limits.
He was sorry. My mistake. He was honored with Padma Shri by Government of India. In fact, about a week back, or maybe 2 weeks back, I was seeing Kaun Banega Crorepati on television, which is actually moderated by, or rather anchored by, the great Big B. In fact, Big B narrated an incident. I wonder whether you saw that or not. He said, Government of India was struggling with polio eradication in the country. And whatever advertising was being done was not really having any effect on the people taking polio drops. So Amitabh ji consulted his creative boss, which is Piyush ji, भाई क्या किया जाए? And the idea given by Piyush ji was something which was out of the blue. He said, you have an image of an angry young man. Now we should use that ad and ensure that if you do not take polio drops, Amitabh ji will be very, very angry. And I'm told it really helped big time. And friends, if India is polio free now, to a very great extent, I think the credit goes to the advertisement which happened at that point of time. Friends, you may also be knowing...
Atul, see, these things are end of the day clinched by the people on the street. Those are the health workers, things like that. But yes, we had a role to play and we played our part very well. We can't claim that we made it happen, but we are very proud that we were part of it.
And the other thing which I thought I must mention is Gujarat, even though is a state which has prohibition enforced, his campaign with Amitabh ji in the helm, Ab ki baar, what was that tagline?
Kuch din to guzaro Gujarat mein.
Din to guzaro Gujarat mein. In fact, I now get a lot of requests from my own relatives कि हमको आना है देखने, द्वारका देखने आना है, ये देखने आना है, वो देखने आना है. I think that clicked big time in spite of prohibition in being in place. The other thing I thought I must share with you all is, and not many people may be aware, Piyush ji is also responsible for that famous dialogue which became viral, Ab ki baar Modi Sarkar. I've known Piyush ji for a very long time in terms of we being contemporaries and sharing practically the same interest. He's also a cricketer of repute. He captained Delhi University, played Ranji Trophy, which is a fairly senior level cricket, for Rajasthan State. And knowing him, his takiya kalam is, let's bat on the front foot. And he's been batting on the front foot ever since. Can we have the iconic ads, some of the iconic ads of Piyush ji, which will be probably much better instead of my narrating things. Can we have the AVs, please?
Very thrilled about working every day as compared to many other people who might be paid 10 times more than me. Well, I think I get paid in non-financial terms by the delight in my heart 20 times more than them.
तेरी हर अदा में प्यार दे, तेरे प्यार की ये मिसाल।
आपका हाथ और रथ का साथ जैसे सोने पे सुहागा।
पाना है तुमको दूना, शान से बोलो चल मेरी लूना।
सत्यता की सवारी लूना।
तेरे दिल की बात पे जान,
ब्रिटानिया वाइटल रिफाइंड ऑयल, स्वास्थ्य के हो या स्वाद, जाने दिल की बात। कैडबरीज डेयरी मिल्क, असली स्वाद जिंदगी का।
मिलेगा बहुत कुछ आशीर्वाद में। कुछ दिन तो गुजारिए गुजरात में। 2 बूंद जिंदगी के।
हर घर चुपचाप से ये कहता है कि अंदर इसमें कौन रहता है। एशियन पेंट्स, क्योंकि हर घर कुछ कहता है।
भाजपा को वोट दे, अब की बार मोदी सरकार।
तेरी आँच का उतरा जो मैंने चख लिया।
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Piyush ji's association with edible oil dates back probably to the late 80s, and probably it started with Britannia's Dil Ki Baat, vital refined oil.
Rat Vanaspati.
Oh, much older than that. And now it continues with Adani Wilmar's Fortune, and Fortune has been made a household name in India, and to a very great extent the credit goes to Piyush ji and his creative team. Now let's start the session.
Yes, I think we must get to the point before she says, okay, time is up.
I'm sure they will give us more time because people seem to be enjoying the... Piyush ji, let us start off by sharing what storytelling means to you and how do you apply it to brand building?
I think some of the sessions that I did get the opportunity to attend today is that we are all on the same team as in a relay race. So you run the first 3 laps. You put the product together, you put all your things together about how to go through regulation, how to cost it, how to make things. And the last lap is the run to the consumer, who actually makes it possible for you to make the magic out of what you have been working so hard on. So storytelling is converting to the consumer's need as to what you have created. I've always believed that I don't work for the client. I don't work for the brand. I only work for the consumer. If I work for the consumer, I'll do justice to what you have created. So that's the lap I run. And if I don't tell a story properly so that the consumer is engaged and listening to me, I wouldn't do the job. I would just be singing a brand name 20 times and it makes no difference. Where does it touch their lives? Where does it fulfill their need? Where does it engage them? Where does it make it possible for them to say to their neighbor that, listen, Mrs. Sharma, did you see that ad? That is got a greater importance than anything else. So storytelling comes there.
No, I'm sure the biggest challenge for you would be telling the story within a minute or so. So, how do you manage to communicate to the consumers within that short time? Because TV advertisement is a costly affair.
Yeah, it is. You draw inspiration from all kinds of people. And a great inspirer for me have been people like R.K. Lakshman. If you can do it in this much of a space every day and touch you somewhere, then you can do it in 30 seconds. So you have to work a little hard, but you know that you have 30 seconds, then you have got to tell the story in 30 seconds. Or if you have more, then you better have a reason to have more. So just that's my job, and you have to stick to that. I think you also have the same job, that you can't sell oil at 1,000 rupees a kilo. You have to do it in a certain demarcation of consumers' need. So I think at another level, I do what you do.
I must say, your communication and saying it in few seconds is brilliant. In fact, if you see it, the Dil Ki Baat ka ad, it's not only, it is also communicating its heart-friendly oil. And Dil Ki Baat to hai hai. So the lady is communicating everything within that 20, 30 seconds or whatever. So that's brilliant. And that is what makes the difference between an advertisement which stays young for a very long time. In fact, the other ad which probably people would be remembering is the one where the guy fishes and the fishes stick to that quick fix. So you can't forget that. How did that come about?
Out of madness, I think. Out of madness and a great client. A great client who was looking for what Mr. Chandrasekhar said today about disruptive things, about innovative things. And I think Fevikwik is a great example of something which was disruptive. You can go into logic and say, but I don't stick underwater. But there is a suspension of disbelief because your joy is saying, "Ore yaar, maja aa gaya." Then you don't go and say, "Kaise banaya tha, kya kiya tha?" And that ad is what almost 30 years old. And wherever I show it, people go mad. And the other fun thing is that we ran it on Hindi channels, but when he counts at the end, it's Malayalam. We never changed it. Because the action shows that it's counting something.
That was brilliant. That was brilliant. And the guy who acted was also super.
At the end of the day, that is what takes it to the consumer. It better be performed and enacted nicely.
Absolutely. Piyush Bhai, given the many different mediums available today, including non-traditional channels like social and video, or how do you measure the impact of your campaigns in terms of improved sales or whatever?
There are a number of ways in which people want to calculate. They're very happy with numbers in research. I don't give a damn about that. The numbers are in your sales. The numbers, without counting numbers, are feeling what is happening in the street. When I go to my barber and says, "Sir, wo agla Fevicol ka ad ka bana rahe hain," that means it's being talked about. When I go to some place and people are saying, "Tune wo ad dekha hai," those are the numbers. Otherwise, numbers are meaningless to me. Numbers should be meaningful to you as a seller. Numbers, and that will only come when people are talking about you. In the good old days, we used to say that when it's being discussed in the bar, but most places like yours don't have a bar. So we have to go to Fafla ke dukan and measure it.
We have to come to Bombay for a bar from Gujarat.
Atul Bhai, the point I actually want to make to a number of members here who are eminent people, I heard a lot about costs. I think one of the suggestions I would like to make to you is the people who are actually into selling. There's a lot of people who are into development, and supplying what you have. But those who are into selling, please do not look at advertising as a frivolous activity. It is, you must calculate it as a part of your cost. Because if you don't take it as a cost, you see it as frivolous. You see it as a frivolous thing, and then first thing you cut out is your advertising. I'm sorry, you're making a stupid mistake. You got a great example in Karsan Bhai, the man who made and launched Nirma. I don't know how many of you know the story that when he made that product in the garage and he was not being able to sell it to the retailer, he actually went and advertised on radio. There was no product in the market, he advertised. So the retailer said, this product is being advertised, why do I not have it? So they bought because he was advertising, and rest is history to all of you. So I think you don't want to be a jungle mein more nacha. And I'll give you an example here. When you go to a street and you see 15 people selling chana jor garam, same chana jor garam, why do you buy from one guy? Because that guy either is looking after his little stall a little better, keeping the flies away, or probably singing a nice song that you like and you say, uske paas jaunga. That is where the difference is. That's where it happens all the time. One of your partners I saw out here is Haldiram. Now, Haldiram's story is a great story for all of you. When I used to go to Bikaner, and I am from Rajasthan, every Tom, Dick and Harry was selling bhujia. And equally good. One guy said, hello, I will take it to the consumer. And I was seeing some numbers in the Economic Times the other day. They're mind-blowing. So get up, wake up and say it's as important as the customs duty or whatever. The last mile is to the consumer. And the last mile is not frivolous. Think about it. That's the point I wanted to make to you.
No, very well explained. In fact, during COVID times, we had a web meeting with Piyush Pandey, and I had asked him at that point of time, during COVID, should we advertise or should we not advertise? And his answer was, in COVID, have you stopped eating? So there you are. So you just don't. And the other thing is what he says, and very rightly, many of us actually treat advertising as a cost. So that is somewhere which will not be able to differentiate between the all.
You have to think of it as a component in your factory without which you can't do. And mind you, this has no interest for me. Because in today's day and age, most of the creative agencies do not buy media. I would have made money out of you if I was buying media. I'm only working with you on a retainership on the creative work that we provide you. So there is no interest of mine in you going on media, but it's on all the interests of yours that you go to media.
Very correct, very correct. Piyush Bhai, if staple food is part of our identity, all of the people assembled in this hall, and me. So, what is the implication on the core messaging?
I was reading your numbers that 85% of your oil sales are still through loose. Staple food is the same thing. We can't exist without staple food, and everyone buys loose staple food because you have not gone and made that little differentiation to sell in a branded fashion. Some people have. I see ITC and I see Fortune, I see some of you. But unless you give me a good opportunity or reason to buy something, I will use staple food every day. I'm very conscious about my food should be clean and nice so my family does not catch something which is stupid. I think you are the reason for going forward or not going forward. People have gone into from Bandar Chhap, Dant Manjan to what the gentleman from Patanjali sells today. How? Somebody promote it. Don't promote, you'll be left in the jungle and you can dance out there and be jungle mein more nacha.
Kisne dekha? They're absolutely correct. Yesterday we had a very interesting session moderated by Anshu with young entrepreneurs from different parts of the country. In fact, we have a lot of regional brands which are very strong in their region. Like, for example, we have cottonseed oil, Tirupati in Gujarat. Cottonseed oil in Gujarat means Tirupati. In a states like Karnataka, you have Sunpure, which is probably synonymous with sunflower oil. Then we have Freedom. In all this, how does a national brand compete with them, and how do the regional brands compete with a national brand?
You got Wagyu Bakri in your state and nobody, whether Tatas or Unilever, can touch that out there. It is again the relationship you have made. Wagyu Bakri is no better than what you get from Tata Tea or from Red Label, Brookmont. It is our brand image is made. It is how, over the years, a Gujarati believes this tea is made for me. Others may be good, but my tea is Wagyu Bakri. Am I right? So, there will be an interplay between regional and national. Sometimes national will go national. Sometimes regional will have a hold. I think you have to respect it. You can't say, oh, chota player hai. I remember a multinational in the good old days calling the likes of Nirma the unorganized sector. I asked the multinational one day, I asked them, do you know that what those guys call you is what? I said, they call you the disorganized sector. And that's why they give you a run for your money. So don't look down on them. They are champions in their own way. I'm sure that the Pepsi guys who make Leher snacks must have looked down about on Haldiram. Haldiram is far ahead of them. The nature of the game is no player is a small player. When you go and play a match, each one is equal to you. Play the game with respect for the opponent, then chances are you will win.
Which means the writing is on the wall, don't take regional players non-seriously. Very correct.
No, I think the consumer doesn't know whether you're regional or national or international. You got to touch that consumer's heart and they say, this is my brand. Where it came from doesn't matter.
There's been a big debate among the edible oil players and maybe in quite a few other staple commodities, whether we should use celebrities for endorsement or whether the celebrity ends up endorsing himself.
I'm a believer that unless you have an idea, there is no need for you to use celebrity. Why do you need the celebrity? I'm saying, look at the movies. Even Mr. Bachchan could not save bad scripts. His failures were not on his performance, but on bad scripts. And on celebrities, I have another theory, and I asked some big client just the other day. I said, you paid so many celebrities. Did you pay out of your CSR? So he said, how can I pay out of my CSR? I said, when the film industry was down and out, you must have been very kind to them. It was your corporate social responsibility to promote the celebrities, otherwise they would die. So, it is stupid. If you're using a celebrity so you can take your wife and child to take photographs in the shoot, it's a very expensive thing. If you want to satisfy the government official who brings his wife and children to take a photograph, it is stupid. So, if you have something where a celebrity makes sense, I've got nothing against them. If you're using it thinking that I will ride on his shoulder, you're stupid. I've written a chapter in my book. Do you want to be a flea in the tail of a winning racehorse? You think I won, you've not won.
Incidentally, Piyush Bhai has also written a fantastic book, and I'm sure you all should read. And the name of that book is also very interesting, Pandemonium. So, it's pandemonium in the marketplace. Should a new company which is entering the marketplace with a new product use celebrity for catching the eyeballs to start with?
You remember the dot-com bubble burst? They use celebrities like mad. Rakesh Roshan's son, what is his name? Hrithik Roshan, and many others. People are not fools. If you bring something to the party, people will pick it up. If you have nothing to say, people are not stupid. There's a big thing that my founder, David Ogilvy, said long time back about, he said, the consumer is not a moron. She is your wife. So respect that your wife is not foolish. She will see through it and not buy those products.
Oh, very correct, very correct. Absolutely true. In our edible oil industry, we are struggling with trying to convert loose oil consumers into packed and to use branded products. What is your advice to this industry? And I think the same applies for a lot of other staples like pulses and a whole lot of other things like rice, besan, and so on and so forth.
I have a question for you. I will not ask you to do the act right now, but do it in your free time. Just count the number of brands you're wearing today. Somebody must be having a watch of some brand. Somebody must be having a tie of some brand. Somebody must be having something of some brand. Why do you wear it? Is it more comfortable? No, because there is an emotion inside you. Same applies for staples. I will not be able to see the difference between one atta and the other, but my emotion will say, I bought the right one, I'm doing the right thing for my family. Everything is not logical. A human being is half logic and half emotion. Ask yourselves, go check your products. Why did you buy it? It was cheaper? Or it shows the time better? You bought it because you love it. And love has no measurement. Remember that.
Very well said. Very well said. Our friend Romy is already putting up the signals. Any questions from the
The
audience?
umpire says out, we are out.
Yes, go ahead. You don't get this opportunity every day.
Yeah, really.
That is also free of cost.
I'm genuinely great admirer of Piyush, and the book he has written, everybody must read. So, I have a very small question. You said that in the staples also, one should attach to the emotion and consumer should say that I love it, that's why I buy it. I'll tell you, we have a brand called Mother, and we try to connect with the customer with love and creating a positivity. But we realize that the functional ad, Lose Nahi Madhur Sahi, has did his own job, in terms of getting the sales. So in your opinion, functional ads are better or the emotional ads are better as far as staples are concerned?
It all depends on how much of function, in your opinion, your consumer is looking for. I think function is for you to create a product that fulfills functions. Otherwise, a whole lot of toothpaste will say, दांतों को 3 तरीके से साफ करिए, वरना पहले क्या 6 तरीके से कर रहा था. So those functions that people know, like in your category, one day somebody asked me in the 80s, इसमें लगाइए 3 सुपर लगाइए, शुद्ध स्वादिष्ट or something. तो मैंने कहा यार, अगर वो oil use कर रहा है, शुद्ध स्वादिष्ट are expected things. Do you have anything new to say? Because how can you have an edible which will say, actually, this is also truth? People will laugh at you. Some functions people know. You don't have to tell them, otherwise they will think that you are stupid because you think that they are stupid. If you have a function which actually differentiates, of course say it. Because that is your creativity, that's why you made it happen. End of the day, if as a consumer, I found something interesting in you, do it, whether it's functional or emotional. If I was selling a new milk, which was blue in color, I will not try to be creative. I will just say, did you know there's a new milk which is better than a buffalo's milk and it is blue? The creativity is in the product. I will shut up and just present what you have.
Sir, this side, Vijay Sardana.
Or
We are not visible, Vijay bhai.
you're on the on-side or off-side?
On slips.
Oh, I can't see you, but you can ask me the question. The lights are on me.
I'll come forward.
Haji, now I can see.
Seriously, it's always great to have a wisdoms from your side. Now, my point is that today a lot of people come and we know that there's an overloading of social media, information, cluttering of messages and all sorts of creativity from men on the street to the professionals like you. In this overloaded environment, to get an attention, and we are also observing that attention span is shrinking. That's what many channels and many researchers are claiming this. In the changed ecosystem, where social media is overpowering, people are technically saying we have stopped watching TV and newspapers are struggling in their own way. What is your message in the new ecosystem where social media is overpowering, too much crowd, too much noise, too many messages? What is overall general message, how to start thinking in today's? Thank you, sir.
I can again go back to what I said earlier. There's crowded space. If there are nuggets in it, you will pick it up. Otherwise, you're not stupid. Say, okay, so many people are saying, so I'm confused. No, you'll be confused for a while. And then you will start pulling up the nuggets. I used to say, if somebody comes to my house on a 48-degree Gujarat place and knocks like mad on a Saturday, my first thing is I will not open the door unless it is Preeti Zinta. So please, if you're going in a crowd, be distinctive. Have a message to say. Otherwise, you will get lost. People are not stupid. They will ignore you, whatever the media is.
Very
Thank
good.
you so much. Thank you, sir.
One last question. Yes, now you have one from Preeti Zinta.
Preeti Zinta is a friend of mine. That's why I got away with that one.
They can see Preeti Zinta.
I have a question. How do you devise or strategize a campaign for a bulk commodity? Something like image management or reputation management for a bulk commodity.
I think
I'll clarify her question. In fact, palm oil in India seems to have a negative connotation, which is not true, and it is largely the work of probably the Western world or whatever. So a lot of negativity has come around palm. So how to counter that?
I think that's where you'll have to get together as an industry. There are times when I've worked on something which you might feel negative, is about tobacco, or it was about tobacco farmers. I worked with cocoa farmers when somebody made a negative story about cocoa, and cocoa was the main ingredient for us in chocolates. So that's where you will have to get together as a team. Because if you go there as an individual, it will seem like your personal interest. If you think that there's something that all of you have in common, put your money together, communicate to the people because they will understand you. Now we have been about to be thrown out.
Thank you.
The third umpire has also come. So thank you all for your time. Thank you, Atul.
It's always a pleasure to interact with a great mind and a great creative mind. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
finding time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for this discussion.
As it goes along.
This conversation that's been so fruitful for every one of us here. May I request Mr. Atul Chaturvedi to kindly bring Mr. Piyush Pandey here right towards the screen so that we can have a photo op as well as have an opportunity to present a memento to Mr. Piyush Pandey. I do request Mr. Atul Chaturvedi to kindly present a memento along with a plaque. And ladies and gentlemen, I take the pleasure of inviting Mr. Kailash Singh, Managing Director, TEFLAS, and organizer of Globoil, to kindly join us up on stage as well, as Mr. Kailash Singh will now present a memento to Mr. Atul Chaturvedi. And of course, a moment here with Mr. Piyush Pandey and Mr. Atul Chaturvedi. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, what a fabulous session it has been.